Do you want to learn how to plan for business growth step by step? Do you want to create an amazing business plan? Well, let me ask you something first. Are you an asshole? Are you? Good. Because I have zero tolerance for assholes. And I get the question all the time. CP, how do I plan for my business? How do I put together a business plan? And then I attempt to help the person over and over again, and they don't listen, and ultimately they fail. I've got great news for you, as long as you're not an asshole, because in the next 3 episodes of CPTV, I am launching a growth plan series that will walk you through step by step, not only how to create the perfect growth plan for your business, but also my secret sauce that has actually helped me grow my businesses double-digit year after year all the time. Are you ready? Let's get to work.
Entrepreneur, I got what you need.
Hey love, it's CP here. Welcome back to CPTV. And if you are new, please make sure you subscribe, because here you are going to get the blueprints to grow your business and your life. Now, it's that time of year, isn't it? It's time to take a look back over the past few months and to begin to kind of make the plans and devise what you're going to do to grow over the next 12 months. And that is exactly what I am going to teach you today. When I say teach, I mean teach, because today begins our 3-part series on how to create the perfect growth plan for your business. And I'm not going to just talk to you. We are actually going to dive in, and I'm going to do this workshop style, because my focus is to make sure that you understand how important this is for your business. And that's why we kind of have to do it in a 3-part series. But before we get started, because I'm ready to get to teaching, I need you to press pause, go down below this video, and download the growth planning workbook. That is going to be where you're going to want to take notes, because I'm not trying to play, and I don't want you to waste my time. At the end of this series, I need you to be able to walk away and put that growth plan in place that's going to take your business to the next level. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe, push that like button, and also make sure that you share this information, because growth planning ain't no small feat, but it's something I got a lot of experience in, and I'm ready to give you all my secret sauce. Let's dive in. All right, so let's get started really with talking about what is growth planning. And it's important to understand what the process is and what it's going to ultimately result in. Because if I don't stress this enough, you really won't think it's a critical piece to growing your business. And I can tell you, single-handedly, taking the time to actually spend each year planning what our growth strategy is going to be for the following year has been one of the single most significant contributions to the growth of my businesses over the years. So growth planning is really a strategic activity and process. So it's very strategic. It's not just sitting around and coming up with ideas. It's actually coming up with a plan on what the idea should be, evaluating and assessing everything that you had in place before, coming up with really what you should focus on, and then really determining what action steps you need to take in order to get there. So it's very strategic in nature. It results in the creation of a very important document. And a lot of people argue with me about whether or not they need to have the document. And I say yes, the VIP part is critical. You have to write it down. If you don't write it down, you're not going to remember. If you're anything like me, you ultimately need to make sure that you've got it in writing, you've got a reference piece, and that you ultimately can continue to show that reference piece to members of your team. So creating the document is very, very important. It's ultimately going to outline your business goals. So one of the things that it does, it's going to look at your strengths and your weaknesses. It's going to ultimately come up with action plans. And inside of this document, which is everything, it's also going to talk about your vision, your mission, all kinds of things that you really need to have an idea for. And it really includes the action plan that you need in order to foster and facilitate growth in your organization. So that document is really important. It's also simple. It's not a full-blown business plan, right? It's very simple and it's smart. And I write this in all capital letters because we're going to get into this in just a second. But when I say it's simple, I mean it's simple. If you haven't seen my video on, I'm going to put it up here in the cards, right up here. Make sure that you've seen why you don't need a business plan, why I recommend a growth plan over a business plan in certain situations as you continue to grow your business, because it really is a more simple idea and it allows you to really be able to put some things out on paper. And another thing is this entire piece, this entire purpose is it really makes sure that it's the result of you finally taking the time that you need to work on your business and not just in your business. That's one of the number one struggles that all entrepreneurs have. You're so involved in the day-to-day. You're so involved in the daily living of your business. You're talking to customers. You're making sales. You're updating things. You're doing digital marketing. All that stuff is a part of the day being in your business. Well, this process, this planning process, it requires that you set aside the time that you need every single year, sometimes twice a year, sometimes 4 times a year, to work on your business. And that's one of the things that really will create that feeling of overwhelming anxiety that most of us feel as entrepreneurs, because you've got all these things on your head that you have to keep putting off and thinking about and writing down, and you never get a chance to really dive into them. Well, this process is what enables you to take all of that anxiety and get rid of it, because you take the time and you dedicate yourself to actually working on your business. So let's dive into what the actual first 4 critical pieces of things that you're going to be including in this overall plan are. So to summarize what the entire growth planning process is, it's a strategic business activity and process. It results in the creation of a very important document. It's simple yet smart, and it's the result of you finally taking the time to work on your business and not just in your business. Okay, so let's dive in to what are the major pieces of your plan. And I want to make sure that we talk about kind of your overall headings so that you know what we're going to be working with. And we're going to actually do this in 2 parts. So this part of our series is going to focus on the first 4 pieces. In part 2, I'm going to break down the second 4 pieces of what actually goes into your planning process. And then in part 3, we're going to dive into how you're going to get all of this thinking and writing and strategizing done. All right. So first 4 major pieces. Piece number 1, you're going to ultimately talk about an environmental analysis. And that is very important, okay? Your environmental analysis includes various things. In your environmental analysis, you are going to talk about your market readiness. So you're going to do kind of market research. That's really important for you to understand whether or not the market is ready for your idea. And that depending upon where you are in your business. So if you're just starting a business and you have a fresh idea and you're trying to figure out if the market is going to be ready for your idea, this is a part of that process. Or let's say you've been in business for a year or 2 or 3 and you've experienced some changes in your services and products and things are still kind of up in the air. This is the piece where you really do take the time to do the research about the market. And I'm going to tell you, no matter how many years you've been in business, this piece is important to do every single year because the market changes. The environment changes, the economy changes, the government changes things. Trust me, I know. I actually had to change my entire business model from one piece of legislation, right? So every single year, it's really important for you to take a look at the market. So you want to do a market analysis. Now, this is going to be my first secret. Don't judge me. I know I write crooked when I'm writing on whiteboards. Don't judge me. All right, let's just bear with me. I'm also not a very good speller. So it's okay. So just ignore it if you see me spell something wrong. But ultimately, my very first secret, I'm going to give it to you right now. The best way to do market research when you are an entrepreneur and you're on a budget. Now, I have gotten the professional market analysis done before that cost thousands and thousands of dollars. Brought in consultants, had them provide me with these very detailed reports in order for me to determine which pricing products and which this and what my customer is. And I can tell you now with the internet and all of the opportunity that you have, it does not require all of that. My very first secret is actually going to be think Google. Think with Google. It is one of my favorite resources. And it is great. Think with Google allows you to actually plug in into a very special way your business idea, your service, your why, what you're planning on doing, and you'll be able to get lots and lots of information about your market in general and what it ultimately looks like. And it's going to give you detailed demographic information. So take a look at Think Google. The next piece of your environmental analysis is going to be a competitive analysis. And that sounds exactly like what it is. You've got to figure out who your competitors are, what they're doing, what they're pricing things at, what their niche is, what they're targeting, what they're saying, how they're marketing, all of those things. You want to know your competitors in and out. And the reason is, if there is someone out there who's doing a really good job at what you're doing or what you ultimately want to do, where can you fit into that? And what can you mimic? What opportunities can you gain from their experiences? So competition is not bad. And oftentimes I say this when I'm working with entrepreneurs or even myself, I've got to get my mind wrapped around the fact that competition is not bad. If there are competitors out there, that means that your idea is profitable. That means you're on the right track. That means that there's a pain point out there that people around you have already identified need to be filled. And so having competition is important, but knowing your competition is even more important. And how do I do a competitive analysis? And I call it a competitive analysis on the budget. Google. Going back to Google. Not Think Google, just regular Google. And the reason is, if you type into the Google search bar, your business, what you're doing, HR consulting or business coaching, the SEO of who shows up first on that first page, identify who those folks are, go to their website and learn anything and everything that you can. If they have most of them will ultimately have kind of a marketing option where you'll enter your email. If they're a technology company and you want to get a demo, know exactly what they're doing. And the best place for you to do that is to spend a lot of time doing your research on Google and ultimately finding out who your who your competition really is. Dive into them deep, especially on that first page of results, right? The other piece of your environmental analysis that I'm going to tell you you're going to want to include in this entire section in your plan is your customer avatar, right? Your customer avatar. Ooh, I wrote very crooked there. Sorry, guys. Your customer avatar. And I know that I've said this before in numerous videos, but how do you figure out who your customer avatar is? And I tell you, if you're new and you're starting out your business, you're going to want to figure out who the customer is. If you have been in business for a year, 2, 3, 4, 5, you're going to want to do a customer review and update in this piece. And the reason is because your market may change a little bit. You may have been doing what you've wanted to do for about a year. You've identified, this was originally my target market, but I realized that this target market can't really afford the pricing that I need to be at, or this target market doesn't really have the pain point that I originally thought or that I originally got from data. And so reevaluating who your customer is important. When I first transitioned from a benefits agency to an HR firm, I thought that our customer was going to be the exact same as the average company that was looking for benefits, which gave me this really broad employer market. And what I realized was, first of all, for us, from an HR consulting perspective, my passion and my focus was more in line with helping entrepreneurs grow their capacity. And so originally we thought we were going to be working with companies from 50 to 300 employees. And after offering services and doing consulting work for about a year to 18 months, in my, growth planning process, I recognized we need to bring that down. We need to decrease that number to where we ultimately ended up and found our sweet spot. And that you can only do when you're actually doing a customer avatar review and update. And I've got 2 secrets in this area that I want to make sure I talk to you guys about. The first secret is up close and persona. I want you to check out that website. It is amazing. It's a free customer avatar service, and it's kind of what I use every single year. And it will actually give you a printout of exactly what your customer is by you going through kind of a questionnaire and survey process. So check out Up Close and Persona. And then also secret number 3, how I kind of do my customer avatar research and review and update, is really looking at my social media demographics and my social media audiences. Now, if you're a brand new business and you have yet to establish your social media presence, you won't necessarily have access to your insights on Facebook or YouTube or etc. right? But all of those social media platforms do give you really in-depth analysis of who your audience is. And it's going to help you hone down. And that's really, if you're delivering content and you're putting things out there to the public, the people who are clicking on your links or visiting your website or liking your pages or subscribing to your channel, all of those demographics matter because those are the people who are going to come to you. And that information is going to be critical for you to figure out who your customer avatar is. So those are my 2 secrets in customer avatar research: up close and persona, as well as your social media insights, okay? The next piece that you're going to look at of your plan, besides the environmental analysis, which is kind of part number 2 that I want to get into with you right now, is your situational analysis. And so the first piece that we just talked about, market analysis, that's all your outside stuff, right? That's you diving into those 3 things that I just talked to you about being critical of the outside environment. You've got to know what's going on outside of your business in order to make decisions inside of your business. Well, the situational analysis, this is all the stuff that's going on inside of your business. You've got to gather all of that same data and research. So when you're in your growth planning process, the first piece is getting all your research and information together about what's going on outside. This is the second piece, getting all of your information together about what's going on inside. You've got to know what your current situation is, right? And your current situation could mean, this is what our pricing looks like. This is what our financials look like. This is how much we really spent. This is how much it's really costing us to deliver this product and service per customer. All of those different things is kind of a current situation review. You also are going to want in this section to determine your SWOT. And if you are new to kind of running a business and have never really indulged in what this is, I want to break it down for you. SWOT equals your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats, right? And in this, it really does focus on lots of different aspects because there's internal and external things that you're going to be reviewing when you're ultimately doing your SWOT. And that is something that you want to know. It's a part of your situational analysis, but your strengths and your weaknesses, these are all internal for people. And your opportunities and your threats, these are all external. And you want to have a good idea of what that is. So this piece of your plan is all the stuff that's going on inside your business. You have to understand what's working and what's not working. And this is really the piece that a lot of entrepreneurs have the hardest time with because you've got to be humble in this process. You have to realize this is the stuff that I'm not good at. This is the stuff that I'm not doing. This is the stuff that's not working. And all of this is going to help drive what those real overarching goals are going to be for your next year so that you can grow, right? You don't grow unless you fix what's not working and you capitalize on what is working. So this is a big piece. So let's talk about what the third major piece of this plan for you is going to be. And that is, you got to figure out the vision and the mission of your organization. Now, if you are brand new in business, this might be the initial conversation, right? You might be figuring out your very first vision and your very first mission. If you've been in business and you're just trying to step up your business or level up your business, this is the time that you want to review these things. You want to make sure that your mission is still in line with what the market needs, what your current situation is, what your vision is still in line with those things. And if you're brand new, you want to create a vision and a mission that is in line with all of the stuff that you just thought about and that you just researched as far as what's going on outside and what's going on inside, right? So just to really quickly talk to you about what your vision and your mission is and kind of describe what these are, because a lot of people do get these things confused. So the best way to look at it is like this. Your mission is your why, right? Your vision is your what. And I break it down like that very simply because your mission is, it defines your business values. It defines your overall beliefs, what you want to ultimately communicate. So it's the mission of your organization, right? My mission at Cheryl C. Perez Enterprises and at Big HR is to help facilitate and empower small business owners and entrepreneurs to grow and scale and level up their business by giving them the blueprints and building their capacity and infrastructure. That's the mission, right? The vision is ultimately ultimately who we want to be and the desired what, right? The future of the company. What do I want to do? I want to be seen as the #1 expert in organizational capacity building, both in HR and general operations and management, right? That's my vision. #1 in our market. I want to be at $40 million a year in revenue. Your vision is where you see your organization in the following year. And I tell people, sometimes I see organizations that have these huge visions that are really like 10 years out or 20 years out. No, this is an annual process. So really the only vision that you're coming up with is, where do you want to see yourself by the end of next year? Right? What's the growth that you want to see yourself at but by the end of next year? And you're going to take it in small chunks, because if you start looking at your vision 20 years from now and you don't achieve it in the next 12 months, you're going to be down in the dumps. You're going to feel like a failure. You're not going to be able to recognize what you've actually already accomplished. So I say an annual vision is really where you want to be. Trust me, I've done the 3 or 5 year vision before, and it's just so far out there that each year I'm not taking the time to recognize my opportunities and the things that I've accomplished. So having a shorter term vision is important. These are going to be things that you're going to work on in this particular section as well. And then talking about the fourth piece, and this is really important, right? The fourth major piece of this overall plan and planning process that you're going to take the time to figure out is your organizational strategic goals. Now, all of the stuff that I just told you about, and as you guys know, if you are a subscriber, you know me, you know CPTV and how it works, you know that I'm going to give you the blueprints, because I am all about doing things in order, step by step. So we just talked about the first 3 components, and the reason why we talked about them first, and that's the order that I need you to go in this planning process. The reason why we talked about them first is because they all play a role in the one before them. So with that being said, in order for you to figure out your overall strategic goals for your organization for the upcoming 12-month period, you've got to take into consideration what's going on outside, your environmental analysis, what's going on inside, your situational analysis, and what your updated vision is and what your overall organizational mission is. In order to figure out all of that stuff, you've got to say, all right, this is what we need to tackle in order to get all 3 of those things in place, right? So this is your overall broad goals for your organization. These are broad goals. And ultimately, your strategic goals, I want you to narrow it down from a year-to-year perspective to 2 to 4 overall goals. Don't do any more than that. Because when we're doing strategic goals, in part 2 of this series, we are going to really break down what goes inside of these, because there's additional components that go inside. And this is where you're going to get more specific, and it'll be really overwhelming, and it removes the whole idea of this being a simple process. So when I say strategic goals, I'm talking about 2 to 4 overall goals. And I would like to give you an example, because you want to also make sure that you always include in your strategic goals, in that 2 to 4, some type of sales and service goal, or revenue and retention goal, something financial. Initially, when you're first starting your business, you're going to look at a dollar amount. So you want to say, next year we want to drive $100,000 in revenue, right? That's going to be your overall goal. But as you continue to grow your business, depending upon what phase you're in, it's going to shift from being a specific dollar amount to a percentage of growth. And so really, truthfully, if you've done your market analysis, you'll have a really good idea of what your particular service and in your industry, what the average growth targets are, what equals success. And I have organizations, and in my past, I used to always say, I want to grow by 50%. I go to my team, I want to grow by 65%. And they're looking at me like, okay. And then I realized that in my field as a benefits agency in my previous business, 13% growth was like unheard of and amazing. So any double-digit growth, we were actually moving in the right direction. No, not Cheryl. I'm at 35%. We only hit 25%, and I'm walking around with my face all messed up. Morale is down in the office, and everybody's like, we didn't hit our goals, without even realizing we blew out every other person in our industry. So it's important for you to have those financial pieces in the strategic goals, but giving you an example of what an actual goal will look like. So let's just say you come up with what a strategic goal is, and this is actually a real one that I've actually used in the past, especially when I'm in the first 2 to 3 years of my business, to improve the existing framework within all departments, admin, sales and service, training, marketing, and technology, and implement the necessary adjustments to achieve the organizational sales and service targets. And that was really for me when I was looking at changing and building my infrastructure as an organization. I had to focus on building my infrastructure in all of those areas in order for me to make sure that I was hitting my revenue targets and hitting our service and customer retention targets. And that might be where you are. If you're a brand new business, for instance, your infrastructure might be, to get my business set up completely on paper and legally so that I can move forward with actually getting customers and clients, right? That might be your overall strategic goal. In 2020, I just want to get my business set up and get my first 10 clients. Right? If you are an existing business, it might be, all right, I've got some money coming in, but I know if I improve my capacity and I improve my systems and my processes and my infrastructure, I'm ultimately going to be able to grow my business to that next level. So one of my goals is to improve my existing infrastructure and framework, just like the example says, right? So, looking at this, the major pieces of the plan, we've tackled the first 4. I want to make sure that you take a look at that, and hopefully you were taking notes in your workbook, because I think that we have smashed the first 4 pieces of this plan, and now hopefully you have a better understanding of exactly what you're going to be thinking about and thinking through. Okay, before we move on to the next 4 components of the growth plan and my secret sauce on how you're actually going to do all of this, I want to make sure that you give me some love. If you are into this, make sure you subscribe. You can actually hit that button that's down in the left-hand corner. You see it? It says subscribe. Go ahead and click it. You don't even have to leave the video to make sure that you're aware and you can get the next 2 parts of the series. And like this and comment. Give me some feedback and also share this with your friends. Okay. Sorry, guys. Give me a second. This is my 14-year-old. You know what? Actually, hold on, hon. This may take a little bit longer than I'd like. So you guys start working through the first part of your workbook, and all the secrets that we just went over are actually in there. And we're going to get together again next Tuesday and kind of continue. We'll pick up where we left off, all right? Bye, love. See you next time. Mwah.